I'll just kick off and explain what's been going on since the last 4 weeks. So basically, I think last time I spoke to you, Adam, I said I put certain targets in place, personal targets, which I think is very important. It's motivational, keeps you on the straight path. And I said that I would get my first property under offer within 28 days, which successfully I did last week. So this week on Monday, which is 3 weeks to the day, I put under a property in St Ives, 19 Burr Close, just waiting for solicitors' details today for 195 at 1.5%.
Brilliant. Now, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. And I think you saw from one of the videos, when you catch up, when you've got more time, the euphoria was amazing, because I took this property on reluctantly, but bearing in mind, you hear about Joe talking about, should I do this or should I do that? I was actually having a conversation with my family over dinner. And I said, look, I've got this property. I used to commute 2.5 hours to Cambridge for work with my last company, and it really got me down. And this property's in between, and it's in St Neots. So from Luton and Dunstable, it's about 49 miles. From my Bedford address, it is about 39 miles. So depending on where I am, you get the call in, you have to go. So sometimes it was a round trip of 80 miles, sometimes 100. So I did 9 viewings, and it was getting me down because I wasn't getting any offers. 9 of those viewings, 2 were second viewings. And finally last weekend, someone come in with 187 on 205. And then I managed to get them up to 195, and I agreed it.
Brilliant.
So I was really pleased. It's a personal target. So I sort of like, that moment you have as an agent, which you never lose.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I've sold homes at 20 million now.
Yeah.
So it was like, yes, come on. Like in the house, I happened to be at my parents' house at the time when I agreed it. They're thinking, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I was saying, yes, come on. And I explained it to them, and I said, it's a £3,000 fee, more or less. And I explained the breakup, but they said, look, that's really good, Joe, because it's money coming in. It might not be the big deal that you're used to, but it shows that things are working. And if it works outside your core area, 49 miles away, with all the effort you put in, imagine what will happen when you get closer to home. So great day for me.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing quite like selling a house, is there? I mean, people say, whenever I talk to agents, say, "Oh, I love it. It's the best job in the world." It is the biggest thrill I ever have is agreeing a sale. People say it's instruction, getting the instruction, and I sort of get that. I understand that, but selling the house, it's just the best.
Amazing.
The best, yeah.
So during the negotiation, I'm in my other half's car, and we're traveling up the M1, and I get the phone call initially, which is 187, and I put it on speaker, and the buyer, I won't mention his name, but he goes, look, Joseph, and at this point I'm down because it's 2 days after the viewing. I'm thinking it's not going to happen again, another second viewing. And he goes, I'm Mr. X, and I'd like to offer on Close. And she even went, yes, come on. So even a teacher is changing her mindset. She's coming on the journey.
Yeah.
So it was a great day. I spoke to Olivia yesterday and said, look, I just want to make sure I get the memorandum of sale done right. I'm getting solicitors today because they're signing up with Santander today. They've got an AIP there. Right. So didn't want to rock the boat with the mortgage. I said, fine, you go and do it. Solicitors from the vendors already, buyers today. So it's really going well. So I'm really, really pleased. So that was one personal target that I'm really pleased about. Minor as it may be, it catapults me to bigger and better things.
You got to start with the small acorns, as they say.
That's right.
It's all about the small acorns, isn't it?
Now, ironically, they've asked me to leave business cards because they've got recommendations locally. So I'm still going to end up going to St Neots again and again. But it doesn't bother me. As long as it's not rush hour, I can do the round trip from Luton and Dunstable in an hour and 15 there. From Bedford, it's about 45 minutes.
Did you not do open house? Did you not do an open house on it?
No, because the property was previously on with another agent for 3 months, and because they weren't in the area, they just abused it, really. It didn't function. So I was getting sporadic, when I relaunched it, I was getting sporadic viewing. So I couldn't do an open house. It wasn't working. So every week, without fail, I was getting 2 or 3 leads. So I'm quite happy to take 2 or 3 more on up there if they happen, because it's become a routine now to do that journey.
Yeah. So 3 months on with another agent, that's something to shout about.
Yeah.
We used to, I remember back in the good old days, we used to take on properties that were on with lots and lots of agents.
Yeah.
But we would really work at selling them because,
Yeah.
Now whether that was getting the price down, which is the obvious thing to do, or taking more photos or less photos, or adding a floor plan, or changing the person doing the viewings. We used to try and identify the issue, and most of the time it was price, right? No question about it.
Yeah.
But occasionally it was the fact that the seller's doing the viewings, and they actually they're pointing out all the bad stuff of the property by accident, or not putting a positive spin on it, or whatever it might be. And so there was always that identification of the change you need to make. Was that something you did with these guys? I mean, it's something to shout about, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was instrumental in this property initially. I took it on before I left my last company. So whilst I left the company previously, because of the travelling, they took it over. So I was familiar with the property. So the vendors were quite happy. They wanted to deal with me, but I redid the photos, and the photos, I didn't use a mainstream photographer. I used a personal one that I've used for 25 years, and the photos, in my opinion, are the best I've ever seen. So they really changed the view of the property, how it looked. They took a sort of aerial view from the stairs down into the living room, loads of different things, staged it properly. It did help get some interest because it was stale at that point. So, if something's been on for 3 months, a good agent, not a rookie, will think, well, what do I have to do to get this looking better? Redo the photos. It's essential. Can't look the same. It's got to look better. It's got to look different. So that's what I did. And I think the second thing I did to sell it really, Adam, which is the key thing, is, as you'd say, hashtag persistence.
Yeah.
I was so persistent on this property. I badgered Olivia on week 1 and I said, look, I'm getting lost in all these properties. I want a premium listing. She said, there's one left. I said, I'm having it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to let go of that premium listing. I'd like to swap it onto my next property, which is coming up, which is equally as important. So yeah, it was persistence. And I think the key thing for me was confidence in myself. I've not lost faith in, it doesn't matter whether it's, as Ian would tell you, back in the days in Walthamstow, selling homes at 50,000. I don't care whether it's 50,000 or 50 million. It's the same process. Very, very streamlined in how I approach it. So that's what finally got it done. But I must say, with the highs and lows, and me and Adam sort of post this quite a lot, the highs was getting the deal done. The lows was thinking, is it going to happen? Well, of course it's going to happen. It will happen. If you make the right steps, as you've shown in your training videos, how to get instructions on, you follow certain steps, you will get it sold. So if it didn't sell by the 4th week, I'd have had to have this phone call with you saying, I haven't sold.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah.
It was not going to happen. It was so not going to happen. So, I made sure that I dealt with every buyer professionally, got there 20 minutes before the viewing, opened the windows, put the lights on. I made sure the place smelt great. I went around with an air freshener. These are little things I do. I know it sounds silly.
Yeah.
I made sure that the viewers were together within 20 minutes apart. Okay. So when one was leaving, the other was turning up. It was like, hello, what's going on here?
That's my favourite tactic. Yeah. I prefer that to open days, actually. I prefer that to, the open days. Yeah. I suppose open days can be constructed in that way, but, I prefer to say, right, you're 11 o'clock, you're 11:20, you're 11:40, you're 12 o'clock, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Even my partner came with me. So I didn't say who she was, but as she left, she helped me just draw the curtains and pull up the blinds and let some light in. She left and said, see you then, many thanks, bye. And off she went. I mean, I know it sounds silly, and I'm not advocating that, but I just wanted the property to look busy, which it did.
Yeah.
It was great.
Good. So congratulations, that's very good. So what's so we spoke probably 3 weeks ago, I reckon, probably the second week into February. And I know you've been knocked out with a bit of flu for a week or so.
That's right.
So it's probably put you back in terms of what you were hoping to achieve. But I know you said that you were looking at trying to get out 3 valuations, I think it was, for the rest of the month, wasn't it? Well, for that following week. I can't remember what we said.
That's correct.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so I think the next target I've set myself, which I've got to rigidly stick to, was that I said I've got 2 more instructions coming on, and I wanted to have between 10 and 12 instructions by, say, the end of May.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So at the moment, I've got 1 which I've put under offer, which is great, put it away. Working on what we call 2020, which will probably come up in your training, possibly with the other agents if they're not familiar with it. And I'll be doing that in St Ives. with business cards and things like that, and obviously a sold board, holding outside, sold, post it in the local spotted St Ives, things like that.
Yeah.
But my next target is a really great target. So again, going by what you've previously spoke about, reaching out to your past clients and people. I've got a past client who's got a house in Putney for 2.5 million, which I'm seeing on Saturday. It's a 4-bed, 4-bath, gym, cinema room in the best part of Putney. Even the staircase is £50,000. It is the creme de la creme. It's coming on for 2,495 million. I'm getting it 1% as what we call in the trade a love job, really, you know, because you've got to start. He's got to have confidence in going with me instead of Knight Frank or Savills, who we'd normally use.
Yeah.
He's only given me 6 weeks, which is a bit challenging, but you take a property away from me, it's not going to happen. So by virtue of getting right move traffic and getting people in the door, is a client going to take a property away from me? No, not if you're conducting yourself properly. So my target is to get the photography done the weekend, get it on the system, launch it locally in Putney. I'm using my A1 photographer for that one again.
Brilliant.
It'll be an all-day job. I'm doing a video on it, launching it, which is a new thing. Other agents might be not doing it, so it's going to go in spotted Putney, Putney this, Putney that. So it's not just going to go on Rightmove and Zoopla. I'm going to launch it out there. So the key is to get that on the market from Monday live. A day or two maybe off, and I'm looking to get that under offer within 28 days.
Okay, right.
So
big target, big challenge.
Yeah, but it sounds odd saying this, but I'm more comfortable at the higher end. I'm used to it. Something I'm very easy with. Some people might be a bit sort of uneasy about it, but it's become very natural to me when I started selling properties over 1 million, 2 million, 3 million going upwards. So I know the formula, getting as much free press as I can get in the early stage, local area dropping, going in those local forums, vital. It's going to be vital for me. It's Rightmove and Zoopla will not sell a big home. It's got to have exposure. So, so whether it comes on a Monday or Wednesday live, 28 days, that's my target. I have got wiggle room on that price. So anything 2,250,000, I can do the deal, and it's good for the pipeline. If you can imagine, that is to me worth 4 or 5 instructions, that property.
Absolutely. Definitely. With £25,000 fee, like you say, 1%. You know, that's a lot of instructions that I suppose that you don't have to do, but you know, if you did those instructions as well, it's like a bonus. It's amazing. A bonus 4 or 5 instructions, isn't it? So okay, good. That'll be really good. If you need a hand with any company viewings, I'm more than happy to come down and help you. Put it that way, Joe.
Well, I mean, ironically, if you think about the fee structure on this, most people think about the 70% sort of fee structure compared to eXp 30. Even the 30% eXp are going to get on this is going to be a mouth-watering fee.
So, absolutely,
So that's my target. I have a piece of land to deal with now, which is in Chelmsford. I know all of this seems to be going outside my core area, but I think it's very important not to turn down business, and I don't care what the journey is.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think, especially in the startup mentality, I really think that, you know, you take everything, take anything that's given to you. You know, if my, you know, I remember when I first started Hatch, my cousin who's in Scotland, he had a 1-bedroom flat in Nottingham that he wanted to sell, and I drove up there and took it on. Of course I did. You know, it would be daft of me not to do that. And you know, because we were in startup mode, and so I couldn't agree more. I think you've got to take everything. In my brain always, I listened to my hero, estate agency hero, Dave Gallagher, who was my old boss, and he used to just always say, Adam, if you haven't got it, you can't sell it. So just take it on, for Christ's sake, just take it on.
Absolutely.
Because if someone else takes it on and you were offered it first and they go and sell it, well, how are you going to feel? You know, if you take it on, you've got a chance of selling it. If you don't take it on, you've got that much chance.
Absolutely. And key for me, Adam, is I'm not hiding every bit of money I make for the first 6 months or even year is pumped back into the business. I'm not taking anything out. So even St Ives at £2,100 odd, that's £2,100 of exposure for me. And it,
and will that then go back into your local market? Is that your plan? So that
that's my
£201,
plan.
yeah. So that makes complete sense. So if you're picking out the stuff that's in other parts of the country, not other parts of the country, you're not going to probably drive 5 hours, but you know, an hour and a half away.
Fine.
That then money that gets reinvested in your core area with direct mail or Facebook marketing or leafleting or whatever it might be.
So for me, my next challenge is instructions. We talk about it, and I'm glad that you've got the videos. I do watch them, and for me is how to get local stock on now. So as you know, I'm concentrating in 2 areas. My way of doing it is totally different to yours. I think yours is right. So what I do is I go into Rightmove, I get a defined area, radius, I go to the map, onto the map, I enlarge the map, print it, log it onto my sat nav, go down the road. If I can't find the house because it hasn't got a board, I go onto my internet and Google houses for that road, and it will come up even without a board. So then I write the address down, drop it. And I think it's important for me to do that instead of sending the letters, because at least I get out there and I find things that aren't even on the system.
Yeah. So you do drop that by hand? You just walk
up the
pathway and stick something through the letterbox?
Yeah. That's it. And, you know, I've done it on different grades of paper, different types of format of letter. Now, at this stage, I've only had one nibble at a property, $500,000. So I am looking at how I'm going to redo that. I mean, I've got to look closely, because at this point, I should have more local stock by my standards and by my ability. I should have 5 or 6. There's even one 7 doors away from my house at the moment here. Knocked on the door. It's on. He's still in an agreement. He won't give it to me, but I'm hounding this man. I am literally hounding him. And even my father said to me, "Look, Joe, please don't knock on his door again." Because I mean, that's, you know, please, we live here in this area too. They live on the adjacent street. So, but this is what you've got to do. So my next target is core properties. So, whilst now I've got the ball rolling, as we'd say, something under offer, more instructions coming on. I mean, I've got to love 2.5 million, but I'd rather have 5 locally at 300,000, because it would give me massive exposure. So that's my next step. But again, as Joe aptly said, you know, he's been doing it. He's one of my locals. He's from Watford. So, you know, it's not going to happen immediately. And I think people have got to realise that. You've got to be persistent. And I am persistent. You know, I will keep doing what I have to do. I mean, I've got a canvassing file. I don't know whether anyone's got them, but I'll show you mine now. So it's canvassing file. And in there, as you can see, everything's dotted with every address that I've dropped a letter on, and on the back is the address. So you re-hit it again. So that's the plan. More core. And like you, I've hit local businesses. They all know me. By the way, I'm an estate agent. You may or may not have known that I am. So I've done that as well. So really, at this stage, 2 months in, just over 2 months since I started on January 5th, 1 under offer, 1 property for 2.5 million, a piece of land coming on, and a lot of groundwork. I've got to be happy. But obviously, the next 2 months, like any of the newbies within eXp, is going to be crucial, because I've now got to leap forward.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've always in my forecast, I guess, for agents, I always sort of thought, right, what's a realistic start? And I made the mistake again historically back in the day, thinking that, you know, people would be doing 8-10 instructions from month 1, just because they have a website or open their door. And I learned from bitter experience that doesn't happen that way.
No.
And when you go into a town like, you know, I don't know, Exeter, you don't just run, you know. So when I was running Hatched, we opened, our first office was Exeter, our first location. And so we said that we'll do 8 instructions on day 1, on month 1, because in Hitchin we'd done 12 in month 1.
Right.
And I don't know, I look back now, I don't know how we did 12 in month 1, but anyway, maybe we did it for nothing. I can't remember. But so I've sort of looked at it and done a forecast for agents, and for an agent, you know, to when I was first looking into eXp to make sure this is viable for agents. It was 2 in month 1, 4 in month 2, and 6 in month 3, and then basically between 6 and 8 per month to make it a workable model. And I think it might be, if I look at it and it's probably 2 in month 1, 2 in month 2, and then you start moving it on to 3 to 4 in month 3, 5 to 6 in month 4. And I think that's probably what we're seeing with a lot of agents now, is low numbers to start with. But if it's all about that persistency and consistency. I just can't, can't emphasize it enough to anyone who we talk to, anyone who's thinking of joining, anyone who's joined, is most people give up after probably at month 3. That's when people give up. And that's exactly the time, if you've been doing the groundwork properly for that 3-month period, and then it's probably in months 4, 5, and 6 that it will really start to just shoot up like that.
That's right.
And people give up just when they should be carrying on.
Absolutely.
That's the bit.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, what's the option if they do it and they don't give it 100%? They're going to end up going back to a PAYE job where they're going to be restricted, and they're going to have to put a lot of hours in where they won't benefit from it, and there's no turning back from that. I mean, I've run businesses successfully, but if I had a failed business, to come back from that is a mammoth thing. So that's why you've got to keep going. I mean, fortunately for me, Adam, one key thing that's going to really, really help me, not just my experience, next tax year, I will throw a bit of money at the business. If I'm confident I'm set up right, the website looks right, it's got some properties on that system, I will do Google, I will do the letters via post, I will do a campaign on Facebook, I'll do a massive leaflet drop covering every letterbox I can within the radius. So I will do that to release me to try and make sales, because inevitably that's the next challenge you have, juggling all those balls. So that's where I am in my journey. But it's a happy one for me, because imagine if we were having this conversation and I hadn't put it under offer, and I hadn't be going to look at a new property that is definitely coming on with me. I would be, but this is the fine lines of doing your job. So if I hadn't had those 2 victories, if you call it that, I would have found them. As Ian said to me in Dobbers, as you call him, come on, Joe, you've got to find 2 deals a week. I mean, whatever you're doing, come on. So if they hadn't materialised, I would have scratched the curbs to get something. You just do, don't you?
Exactly.
Magic it up from somewhere. So that's really where I am. I'm just pleased, and I'm pleased for the people that I'm seeing on the system as well, like Joe. When I saw that video, the reason why I responded to one was because I didn't want the man feeling he was alone and what was going on, because I've been there and I was actually going through it pre-offer on this property. I was thinking, when? But you can see how things are. If you just release, let it out, focus, it will happen.
I agree, and I love the fact that everyone's wearing their heart on their sleeve and talking about stuff, and which allows me to help, other people to help. And people are going to go through those bad times and those down days, as I posted on Joe's thing, down days and anxious days and all the rest of it. So I love all that, and I love that you're happy, and say you are you and loads of other people. The reason we do the business is that's the reason that the eXp exists, is to support and help and see you enjoy success as your own entity, as it were. So I'm really pleased that you're pleased.
Try and put a lid on this one. I get this property under offer in 28 days. Forget the price tag of it. Can you imagine controlling me? Can you imagine? It's just not going to happen.
No, it's not. No,
I mean, can you imagine that even from an eXp perspective, it is making a statement. My God, we go into Putney, sell a property at 2.5 million under the nose of Knight Frank, Savills, whoever you want to call them. It says something. So I'm really up for this one. So, it has taken up a lot of time. I've been visiting that property every 2-3 days with the builders, making sure it's all A1. So that's taken up a lot of my time, but I've got to give it that sort of attention. So that's taken me away from my core area. But I think April is going to be big for me. Core area is vital. Absolutely vital. It's a massive thing for me.
Keep doing the groundwork, and I think April will, like you say, that'll be 2-3 months groundwork in your local area. Keep doing the videos. I see your videos on the local property market. Really like those. And have a look at that letter that Scott's doing.
I've already got it, and I'm looking at it, and I will use it. And I do like what he's doing. It's very personal. And I think it works when you use a stamp, definitely, and that's why I'm going to change up to that, because it encourages the owner to open it instead of an agent going and seeing a blank letter thinking, hello, what's this? I know what this is. So yeah, I will go down that road to see if it works. Definitely, 100%. So really, so that's where we are. So happy days, basically, and seeing what happens over the next. Not a busy weekend. So apart from taking a property on, I'm just dealing with that. So I think from next week onwards, it's hitting the bricks, as Dobbers would say, trying to magic up some business. I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's got to come. It's got to come. It'll come. Yeah.
If you use all those strategies we've talked about over the last few weeks, and I've been posting about, then
absolutely.
Definitely. No
and I put my head on the block. Dobbers will tell you, when I say something, I try my utmost to deliver. So when I'm saying 28 days, big deep breath. I mean, it's got to happen, So I will. That's my target, literally.
Good. All right. Well, good luck then.